Hello, sugar bears, britches, and bushes. Welcome to another episode of Crime and Cosmetics. As always, I'm your host, Next, and today we're going to take a look at Jack the Ripper. That's who we chose last time. Everybody who is anybody, even if you're not into true crime, know who Jack the Ripper is. Dude's a legend. Probably like not a good one, but you know what I mean. He influences pop culture, especially in the true crime world and stuff like that. You just, even if you're not into true crime, you know who he is. You get what I'm saying here. As for a looky-loo, of course, we have no idea what we're doing. I just recolored my beard, so if you can still see stains of the color on my cheeks, don't say anything because I'm insecure. Just kidding. Don't care. How are you? How are things been? How's the family? I just got back from my parents' house, had a super cool time. Did my ketamine treatments, blah, 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 blah. Super cool, super fun. Got back here Saturday, so today, at like 5 o'clock. Prep notes for the podcast tomorrow, because the podcast, we're doing something called True Crime Cinema Club, and we're going over, for this season, we're going over crimes that got turned into movies. And the first episode we did 30 minutes or less. This episode we're doing tomorrow is Pain and Gain, so that should be out this Thursday. And then I took a shower because I was smelling rough, and then I recolored my beard and stuff like that, and now we are here filming this. Oh, jeez. Do I know what we're going to do? No, I don't, but I think we're going to do something black, blue, and red because that sounds fun right now. Toothless, you're just going to take War Chief's spot over there? Oh, speaking of War Chief, so I get home, I'm like, don't worry, house is going to be fine, I don't need to have someone check up on the cats, I'm only going to be gone, like, a full day at max, they've got water, they got food, what have you. So I leave, and then I come back, and I walk in, I set my bag down, and I'm walking to the bathroom because I got to pee, because I didn't stop anywhere the entire trip. And I see War Chief running around with a piece of yarn in her mouth. Because a long time ago, I got them these, like, yarn ball play toys. And they just, like, unraveled them and, like, run around with wads of yarn now. So I was like, whatever, cool. Like, I'm walking to the bathroom. And she's, like, at my feet, as she always is. And I look down and I see that she has yarn in her mouth. And I'm like, what is that? And it's, like, attached to a longer piece that goes all the way into the living room. And I was like, is that stuck on your tooth, or are you holding it in your mouth? So I like got down and I grabbed it and I just slowly started pulling on it. And I was like, oh, this is in your stomach. So I had to hold her down while I very, very slowly pulled slimy yarn from her, I guess, stomach, because she had tried to eat this yarn. Don't know why. You have food. Now you're just being difficult. Just kidding. Love you. But, she was fighting me on it, and I was like, listen, I have to do this so you don't die. So now we're just watching her closely to make sure she is okay. But I didn't know you could get into so much you have this many problems after me being gone a single day. Where would you guys be without me? You'd be nowhere. You wouldn't be anywhere. All right, but we got our primer on. Let's put our hair up and get this road on the show. Hi, Miss Thing. Have you come to join us up here? Man, I'm using a new deodorant, and it smells so good. Say hi, Toothless. Say hi, Toothless. Hi. Hi. Hello. Okay. Oh, you're fine. All right. So, to talk about our main man, the Ripper, we need to take a journey to, London's Whitechapel district in the East End. So in the mid-19th century, Britain experienced a really heavy influx of Irish and Jewish immigrants, which is what caused the population to swell, and the parish of Whitechapel soon became very overcrowded. And by 1888, London's East End had a population of around 80,000 people, which is a lot, especially in that condense of an area. Dude, that's ridiculous. So as the population grew, working and housing conditions became worse and worse. Crime, addiction, disease started to ravage the area, like to the point, so to kind of set the picture for you, Crime in the East End was so bad that police would not patrol the area unless they were in groups of no less than 4. Like, the people that are supposed to be protecting the members of the community are like, yeah, we're not going there alone. Absolutely not. And not only was this area becoming incredibly overcrowded, there was a magnitude of social unrest happening. What are you doing? Get comfy. You comfy? Okay. So individuals who were sick of the overcrowding, they were sick of the police not doing their job and keeping the community safe, began leading demonstrations about this. When they would lead demonstrations, sorry, words are hard, they were met with brutal police forces. They would clash with police. This actually led to an incident called Bloody Sunday, which took place in 1887. And not just that, but the increasing amount of... What the fuck? What do y'all do? Every time I get in front of this camera, y'all wanna be wild. Now, this increasing amount of social unrest in the East End, as accompanied with the rampant anti-Semitism, the racism, the nativism, the crime, and just the severe deprivation that was happening in the East End created this reputation for it, causing people in the area to believe it was a den of immorality. And that narrative was only driven home in 1888 when Jack the Ripper began his killing spree where he would butcher sex workers in the area. Since crime was so rampant in the area, a big part of that crime was abuse against sex workers. And because of the rampant crime in the area and the rampant crime against sex workers, it was hard for police to pinpoint exactly which crimes were done by Jack the Ripper. So in this case, 11 separate murders happened between April 3rd, 1888 and February 13th, 1891. They were included in the Metropolitan Police Service investigation, and they were dubbed the Whitechapel murders. And so it's uncertain if all the murders in the Whitechapel murders should be linked to Jack the Ripper, but 5 murders known as the canonical 5 are to believe definitely the work of Jack the Ripper. And the reasoning for the other 6 murders not being linked to Jack the Ripper is because they didn't really fit his modus operandi. I've been saying modus operandi as modus operandi because it just sounds more sophisticated to me. I don't know why, but I looked up the pronunciation. It's modus operandi. And I don't know why, but that just sounds like someone's like southern grandma's name or something like that. So what is Jack the Ripper's modus operandi? Well, I'm gonna tell you. It was deep slash wounds in the throat, followed by that's how you say that, right? Abominable snowman, just kidding. Severe abdominal mutilation as well as genital area mutilation. And then the removal of internal organs, and after that, extensive facial mutilation. So the canonical 5 Ripper victims are Mary Ann Nichols, or Nichols, sorry if I said that wrong, Annie Chapman, Elizabeth Stride, Catherine Eddowes, and Mary Jane Kelly. So on Friday, August 31st, 1888, at 3:40 a.m. in Bucks Row, the body of Mary Ann Nichols is found. We're gonna add a little bit more to this because we're gonna put another color in there, and I want it to overlap. She had last been seen alive just an hour before her mutilated body was found. Her throat had been slashed with 2 deep cuts, one of which severed the tissue completely down to the vertebrae. Her genital area had been stabbed twice. The lower part of her abdomen had been ripped open with a deep, jagged wound causing her bowels to protrude, accompanied by several other stab wounds to the side of her abdomen, both sides of her abdomen. When police found this body, they really didn't know what to think of it. The mutilation was very, very severe, and it was not something they've seen before. They especially in the East End, they dealt with a lot of crime, murder, what have you, but something like this kind of baffled police. Oh, this blue is looking hot to trot, baby. Look at them eyes. Oh my god. So 1 week later, on September 8th, at 6 a.m. Oh damn, I just put black on this brush. I was gonna use blue. Damn it. Hold on. Here we go. Look at that blue. Delicious. Why would it focus on my face when I'm putting something in front of the camera? Focus. There it is. So 1 week later, at 6 a.m., the body of Annie Chapman is discovered, and just like Mary Nichols, it is heavily mutilated. Oh, that brush worked way better. Good idea, everybody. Thanks. Just like Mary, Annie's throat had been slashed with 2 very, very deep cuts. Her abdomen had been ripped open completely. A small section of flesh from her stomach had been cut completely off and placed over her left shoulder. Another section of skin plus her small intestine had also been removed and placed over her right shoulder. Autopsy would later reveal that sections of Annie's uterus, bladder, and genitals had been removed and taken as well. So during the investigation of Annie's murder, a witness had said she had seen Annie walking and talking with a dark-haired man who was wearing a brown deerstalker cap. If I read the description of a deerstalker cap correctly, it's like a Sherlock Holmes hat. It's from what I saw. We'll look up pictures and put them up here. And he was also wearing a dark overcoat. The witness said that he had a very shabby, genteel appearance, and that he overheard the man asking Annie, "Will you?" and Annie responding with yes. In the meanwhile, police begin, taking that into consideration. They draw up some composite sketches and things of that nature. So Elizabeth Stride and Catherine Eddowes' bodies were both found in the early morning hours of Sunday, September 30th, 1888. They are also commonly referred to as the double event. Elizabeth Stride had a single clear-cut 6-inch incision on her neck that severed her carotid artery as well as her trachea. But other than that, she had no other signs of mutilation. Now, again, you're like, at first I was like, why would they add this in here? She doesn't exhibit any signs of the Ripper's modus operandi, so why would they add her into the canonical 5? But apparently, police speculated that somebody had interrupted the Ripper, or was coming and scared him off, or I don't know, something like that, to where he didn't finish the job, but they still believe this was work of Jack the Ripper. A witness had given a statement to police that said Elizabeth was walking with a man that matched the same description that the prior witness had given. The witness said he was with a group of his friends, and when his group of friends were questioned, none of them could corroborate that story, so it really didn't lead to anything. Catherine's body was found in Mitre Square, sorry if I pronounced that wrong, I don't even think that's what it's called anymore, in the city of London. Her throat had been slashed, her abdomen, like the rest, had been open with a deep, jagged wound, and her intestines had been pulled out and placed over her right shoulder. Her left kidney and major parts of her uterus had been removed and taken, and as well as her face being horrifically disfigured. Her nose had been cut completely off. Her cheeks slashed in cuts that measured 1/4 inch and 1/2 inch vertically in her eyelids. A triangle had been carved into on each side of Catherine's cheeks, the apex of the triangle pointing to her eyes. So a piece of her ear had been cut off and was later found inside her clothing. The police surgeon in the investigation said that these very, very intricate mutilations would have taken around 5 minutes each to do. So a bloody piece of Catherine's apron was actually found not far from where her body was. Above the bloody piece of apron, there was a chalk inscription on the wall, some graffiti that read, "The Jews are the men that will not be blamed for nothing." The message seemed to insinuate that whoever was doing these murders was Jewish, or that just the Jewish population in general were responsible for these killings. So graffiti like this, though, unfortunately was not uncommon. As I said prior, there was a lot of anti-Semitism in the area due to the Jewish immigrants coming over, so it was unclear if the graffiti had already been there and the apron was dropped as the killer walked into the building, because it was in the doorway of a tenant building, or if the killer had dropped the piece of apron, then wrote that inscription above it. Regardless, though, the police chief feared that it would spark anti-Semitic riots, so he had it washed away before the sun came up. So Friday, November 9th at 10:44 a.m., the body of Mary Jane Kelly is discovered. And I will tell you, for some reason, when I think back this far, my brain is automatically just like, yeah, cameras didn't exist then. So when I was looking up Jack the Ripper stuff, I was not expecting a crime scene photo of Mary Jane Kelly's body, and it is incredibly gruesome to look at. She definitely got the worst of it. It's very graphic, so discretion is advised if you go looking for it. It's literally on the Wikipedia page, so you ain't gotta look hard, but it's, whoo, god dang. She was discovered lying on her bed in her single room living quarters at 13 Miller's Court. Her face had been quote unquote hacked beyond recognition. Her throat had been slashed all the way down to her spine. Her abdomen, like the victims before her, had been ripped open, but Mary Jane's abdomen, had been almost completely removed of all of its organs. Her uterus, kidney, and one breast was placed beneath her head. And then various organs from her body had been placed around her feet, and sections of her abdomen, as well as her thighs, had been cut off completely and placed on her bedside table. And if that wasn't enough, her heart was missing entirely. So from what I read, the police investigation into the Ripper was very, very thorough. Unfortunately, a lot of files that they had on the case were destroyed during the Blitz, which was a German bombing campaign on the UK in World War II. Now, in the documents that did survive the Blitz, we see that the Ripper investigation was actually very thorough. Police began looking at local butchers, slaughterers, physicians, surgeons. They believe that somebody who butchered mutilated corpses to that caliber must have had some kind of job or skill set in those areas. They investigated and questioned around 76 butchers, and not just the butchers themselves. They also looked into every employee that they had within the past 6 months. So Queen Victoria actually believed that the culprit was a butcher or a cattle drover on one of the many cattle ships that went between mainland Europe and London. One of the reasons she believed this is because the pattern of the murders kind of synced up with the cattle ship's schedule. The murders happened at the very end or the very beginning of each month, which is when the ships would dock. They also happened just before or during the weekend, and the cattle boats in that area would dock around Thursday or Friday, and they would leave Saturday night or very, very early Sunday. So she had a very convincing reason to believe that, but that was actually looked into. In none of the ships' schedule coincided with the murders. Also, during the investigation, there were apparently various letters being sent to police and news outlets that claimed to be Jack the Ripper. But a good majority of them were deemed a hoax to, keep the business going or whatever. Now, there was around 3 or 4, I think, that were considered to be authentic, but then 2 of those were outed as a hoax. There is one letter I will talk about, though. It's called the From Hell letter. The letter was received by George Lusk. He was head of the Whitechapel Vigilance Committee, which essentially was a organization that patrolled the streets looking for suspicious characters because they believe that police were not doing their job. There's also I don't know, I know spelling and the written language must have been different back then because it evolves very much so over time. But I just gotta assume that these are bad spelling errors to kind of throw. Maybe if the letter got reported to the police to throw the police off the trail. I have no idea. So I'm gonna read the letter for you, and I'll read it how it's supposed to be read, not with the spelling errors included. It says, "From Hell, Mr. Lusk, sir. I send you half the kidney I took from one woman, preserved it for you, to their piece I fried and ate. It was very nice. I may send you the bloody knife that took it out if you only wait a while longer. Signed, Catch Me If You Can, Mr. Lusk." Now, the reason this is believed to be a Jack the Ripper letter, it didn't contain the same handwriting of those letters I briefly mentioned earlier that were later considered a hoax, but it was completely different handwriting. The signature was not of Jack the Ripper because Jack the Ripper was something that was created by the media. There are still individuals that believe it is not a real letter, but one of the reasons, another really good reason it's regarded as a real letter is because it wasn't delivered to the media. It wasn't delivered to the police. The letter was delivered to Mr. Lusk. It didn't go through any other outlet. It came directly to Lusk. So it doesn't make, that's pretty damn convincing, because why would, if someone is trying to drive up the Jack the Ripper story to sell newspapers, why would they deliver the letter to Lusk and not the police or the media? So with this letter, the kidney that was also given to Mr. Lusk was preserved in what they called spirits of wine. It was just ethanol, and when it was taken by police and looked at by an expert, the expert determined that it was the kidney of a human and that it was a human's left kidney. So it is that's one of the main reasons it's regarded as being a real letter. During this investigation, more than 2,000 people were interviewed. Upwards of 300 people were investigated and around 80 people were detained. The city police commissioner even put out a 500-pound reward for the arrest of Jack the Ripper. That would be around 65,000 pounds in today's money. But despite all the investigating, all the reward money they put out, Jack the Ripper was never caught. It's theorized that the only reason he did not continue murdering was he was either locked up for some other crime and nobody knew it was him, or he was murdered, or he fled the country. Anything could have happened. But nonetheless, his legacy still lives on today. We still see portrayals of him in all forms of media, and he's influenced a ton of horror movies, shows, and things of that nature. Let me finish this lookup. I don't know what else I'm gonna do. I'm not sure how I like this. I don't know how I expected this X to turn out, but it looks, I don't know. Let me mess around with it. I'll be right back. All right, I think that's what we're gonna stick with. It doesn't look bad. I kind of do like it. Still, the X didn't turn out how I wanted it to, but overall, I think we did a good job. I just realized that I took my dermal out. And I don't know where I put the jewelry. So it's right there. I see it. Never mind. False alarm, everybody. But yeah, it does not look bad at all. I feel like that's how most of our looks turn out. I hate it, and then I love it, and then I hate it, and then I love it after we finish her off. But she doesn't look too bad. But now's the time in our show where we pick next week's crime. I know a lot of you have been asking for Albert Fish. I want to tell you, Albert Fish is in the murder pot already. I put him in probably one of our first weeks. All right. Who shall be summoned? Look at all the names. This one was sticking in my hand. So Peter Falconio is who we're covering next week. I had to look. Every time I pull out one from the pot, I always look them up to make sure they fit within our criteria, which is just be a crime. Because my dumbass will probably write something completely off kilter and put it in the pot. So I guess Peter Falconio is not the name of the murderer. It's the name of the victim. So I'm pretty sure one of you suggested that. I don't ever remember hearing about this one, so I'm excited to learn something new. But thank you so much, my lovely sugar bushes, for stopping by. If you don't already, go check out the podcast Snacks Packs. It's on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, wherever you listen to podcasts. This season, we are, like I said prior, we're calling it True Crime Cinema Club, and we're covering movies that are based on real crimes. We covered 30 Minutes or Less prior, and now we're covering Pain and Gain. Next episode, a true crime podcast is in the works. Also, I have not forgotten about the makeup box. I've just been so busy, and I apologize. I have all this stuff. I just got to package it up now and figure out rules and stuff like that for the giveaway. Thank you so much for the support. It means the absolute world to me. I've seen that my video views have just boosted the past couple days, and I cannot thank you enough. I love doing this. I love talking to you guys. I love getting feedback from you guys. It is my favorite part of being a content creator, is interacting with you. And I hope one day possibly we get big enough that I can go around and just meet everybody and give you guys a big hug once COVID is done, obviously. Because you guys truly are the best part of my day. You make me feel less lonely. Sorry if that sounds sad, but it's true. I still have the burner phone for Makeup and Murder. We have to do a review. Again, I'm so sorry. Just been swamped recently, but I'm going to make time for it. I have some more candy that we're gonna try. And I'm still working on getting some no sleep stories. If you have some no sleep stories that you like, leave them down in the comments below, and I'll go talk to see if I can get a hold of the author and compensate them to use to narrate their story. I've got conspiracy theory notes on the way, so once that gets done, we'll probably do a conspiracy theory video. Would you like that video to just be us talking, or would you like me to do some makeup with it as well? Let me know down in the comments. Also, again, if you have a crime, murder, or whatever that you want covered, please leave it down in the comments below. A lot of you come into like my lives or my Twitch lives and tell me my ADHD brain is not going to remember that. I physically sit down and go through my YouTube comments to look for suggestions. So you're gonna have to put them in the comments of the YouTube video. If you're not a subscriber to my channel and like what you saw, I would be greatly appreciated if you could give the video a like and hit that subscribe button. We make content weekly. But yeah, I think that just about covers it. Thank you so much for stopping by, everybody. I hope you have the best day ever. I hope all the good things happen to you, and be kind to others. Most of all, be kind to yourself, and please do not forget that you are so loved and you are so valued, and there will always be a place for you here in this community. I love you so much. Bye-bye.